Part 233. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2321. Chapter 2321. Do you think I dare not? He stretched out his hand to hold Bai Yisheng's shoulders. However, just as his hand touched Bai Yisheng's clothes, Bai Yisheng turned around and hit his chest with her elbow. This smash, which was filled with overwhelming anger, did not restrain its strength at all. Qin Emo didn't take precautions. He was hit by the blow so much that stars appeared in front of his eyes. His body suddenly became unable to stand and he took several steps back. Brother Qin, Gu Sheng turned around with Bai Yisheng. When she saw Qin Emo being beaten, her expression suddenly changed, becoming anxious and angry. She couldn't get away from Bai Yisheng, so she was so angry that she kept beating him with her other hand. Bai Yisheng, you bastard! How can you do something to Brother Qin? Let me go. What on earth do you want to do? Gu Sheng felt very guilty. Special guilt. She had no idea that Bai Yisheng could be so ungraceful. He actually beat Qin Emo. He is really crazy. Gu Sheng had no idea what Bai Yisheng wanted to do. I don't know what kind of madness he suddenly became. But Qin Emo was beaten by Bai Yisheng because of her. This made Gu Sheng feel very guilty. She was extremely angry. Why did she, Bai Yisheng, hit her friend for no reason? Qin Emo was beaten, and after taking a few steps to stand firm on his hind legs, he raised his head and looked at Bai Yisheng with an angry look on his face. Bai Yisheng, let go of Sheng Sheng. What do you want to do, a civilian girl? Didn't you see that Sheng Sheng was not willing to go with you? Don't think that just because you are the young master of the Bai family, you can be lawless. If you don't let go of Sheng Sheng, I will call the police. Qin Emo took out his mobile phone with a sullen face. Bai Yisheng's face became even more angry as he called him Sheng Sheng one after another. Seeing Gu Sheng defending him like that, his anger surged even higher. He gritted his teeth and sneered, "Okay, you call the police. Just tell the police that I, Bai Yisheng, robbed a civilian girl. Let them catch me." "Do you think I dare not?" Qin Emo said angrily. "If you don't let go of Sheng Sheng, I will really call the police." "Then call the police." Bai Yisheng looked indifferent. After saying that, he turned around and continued to walk to where the elevator was taking Gu Sheng. "Stop, let go of Sheng Sheng." Qin Emo chased after Bai Yisheng angrily when he saw that Bai Yisheng was unable to get in and wanted to take Gu Sheng away by force. Only this time, after he had just taken a few steps forward, two tall bodyguards in black walked out from the corner of the corridor and stopped him. These two bodyguards were brought here by Bai Yisheng. Usually, he hides in the dark to protect him. As the eldest young master of the Bai family, Bai Yisheng cannot really walk alone. A rich and noble family like them must be protected by someone around them. Some people's bodyguards are in the open. Some people's bodyguards are in the dark. The bodyguard blocked Qin Emo until he watched Bai Yisheng take Gu Sheng into the elevator, and then watched the elevator reach the first floor before letting Qin Emo go. As soon as Qin Emo got free, he immediately called the police on his mobile phone. Watching him call the police, the bodyguards did not stop him. After letting go, the two bodyguards took the elevator down to the first floor. In a certain box on the corridor, a group of people who were waiting for Qin Emo and Gu Sheng didn't wait for them. They dialed their numbers. One was on the phone and the other didn't answer the phone. The group of people were a little frightened and thought something had happened to them. Because Gu Sheng and Qin Emo sent them WeChat messages when they were in the dark night. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2322. Chapter 2322. If Sheng Sheng stays with him, nothing will happen. Under normal circumstances, the two of them should arrive soon. But they had been waiting for almost 20 minutes, and no one was there yet. What on earth did these two people do? I just called Qin Mo and we are still on the phone. He didn't reply even after I sent a WeChat message. Sheng Sheng hasn't answered the phone either. The situation between the two of them is not normal. It's a little abnormal. How about we go find someone? It's already dark. Maybe the waiter has seen them. Well, let's go out and look for it, but don't let anything happen. After the few people made their decision, they walked out of the box. A group of people went from upstairs to downstairs, and finally saw Qin Mo outside the dark night gate. Qin Mo stood on the side of the street, looking in one direction, as if looking at something. Qin Mo, so you are here. I haven't been able to contact you and Sheng Sheng just now. I thought something happened to you. Several friends walked up to him, and when they got closer, they discovered that Qin Mo had a white his face. The expression on his face was obviously a bit wrong. Qin Mo, what's wrong with you? Why do you look so ugly? Also, where is Sheng Sheng? Isn't she with you? Yes, Qin Mo, where is Sheng Sheng? I called her, but why didn't she answer the phone? Qin Mo clenched his phone and raised his head. He saw several friends, and as if he saw a savior, he grabbed the hand of one of them, his eyes full of urgency. Sheng Sheng has been taken away. What? Sheng Sheng was taken away? What on earth is going on? Okay, how could Sheng Sheng be taken away? Did you call the police? I called the police. Qin Mo clenched his fists angrily, thinking of the phone call just now, but the police said I must have made a mistake, saying that the person could not possibly rob someone by force. Who is the person who took away Sheng Sheng? White Yisheng. Bai Yisheng? You're not talking about the famous director Bai Yisheng, are you? The eldest son of the Bai family, one of the four famous families in Yuncheng. It's him, Qin Mo said angrily, his face livid. It's him who took Sheng Sheng away by force. We have to find Sheng Sheng quickly now. Otherwise, what if he does something to Sheng Sheng? Thinking of the terrible consequences, Qin Mo didn't say the next words, but his face turned pale again. Several friends around him were very anxious when they heard that Gu Sheng had been taken away. But after knowing that the person who captured Gu Sheng was Bai Yisheng, everyone fell silent and had meaningful expressions on their faces. Qin Mo frowned when he saw this. Why don't you say anything? Sheng Sheng has been taken away, aren't you worried about her? Well. One of them coughed lightly. Qin Mo, I think, we should not go looking for Sheng Sheng. Don't worry, she will be fine. Gu Sheng was with Bai Yisheng, how could something happen? Why? Qin Mo asked anxiously, I don't think that Bai Yisheng is a good person. Qin Mo, Bai Yisheng is Sheng Sheng's teacher. If Sheng Sheng stays with him, nothing will happen. I know, but Sheng Sheng. Qin Mo, Sheng Sheng will really be fine. These people all knew that Qin Mo liked Gu Sheng, and some words were hard to explain clearly, so they said tactfully, Sheng Sheng and Bai Yisheng, their relationship is a bit complicated. It's not just a teacher-student relationship. You and Sheng Sheng only met after she went abroad, so there are some things you don't know. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2323. Chapter 2323. What, are you feeling distressed? But we can all guarantee that Sheng Sheng will be fine. Although Bai Yisheng is not a gentleman, the things you are worried about will definitely not happen. And what? Furthermore, most of the reasons why Sheng Sheng returned to China this time are for Bai Yisheng. Qin Mo was stunned for a moment, and his eyes widened in shock. When he recalled what this sentence meant, the color on his face quickly faded. Asterisk. Gu Sheng was dragged into his car by Bai Yisheng. When he closed the car door and was about to go around to the driver's seat on the other side, Gu Sheng opened the car door again. Gu Sheng, do you dare to try running now? Bai Yisheng did not stop her, standing on the opposite side and looking at her coldly. Does your brother work at Moe's? Do you believe it or not, if you run away now, he will be there tomorrow? You'll lose your job. Gu Sheng paused in his steps. She turned around, her face flushed with anger. Bai Yisheng, you are despicable. What on earth do you want to do? What do I want to do? Bai Yisheng was startled by this question. Because he doesn't know what he wants to do. He didn't know why he wanted to take Gu Sheng away. He didn't know where he was going to take Gu Sheng. But he just didn't want Gu Sheng to be with that nerd with glasses. Yes, what do you want to do? Gu Sheng was so angry that his body was trembling. Bai Yisheng, I didn't offend you. Don't you think you are very confused? First you said those inexplicable words, and then you inexplicably hit the senior. What else do you want to do now? Where are you going to take me? What do you want to do to me? Why do you hit your senior? He has no enmity against you. Bai Yisheng had been listening to her, but when he heard Gu Sheng talking to the nerd again, the anger in his heart that had just been suppressed suddenly ignited again. He narrowed his eyes and sneered, Why, are you feeling distressed? Do you like him? He asked as if he was very calm. But only he himself knows how he feels at the moment. After asking this question, he clenched the hands hanging by his sides, his heart seemed to be suddenly lifted, and his eyes showed a trace of nervousness that even he himself was not aware of. Gu Sheng was stunned for a moment. Then, he raised the corners of his lips and said in a nonchalant tone, Do I feel distressed or do I like him? What does it have to do with you? Bai Yisheng, don't you think you care too much? Our relationship is not mature enough for me to tell you these things, right? Even my parents didn't ask me about these things. Why do you want to ask me? Bai Yisheng pursed her lips into a straight line, and the anger in her eyes was about to burst out. She did not deny it. Although she didn't admit it, she didn't deny it either. This means she might actually like that nerd. Such a knowledge made him feel as if his heart was suddenly stabbed by something, and he suddenly felt a sharp pain in that area of his chest. An even greater anger was burning in his heart. His whole body seemed to be on fire, and he felt like there was a very suffocated breath in his chest that was eager to be released. That breath of air was stuck in his heart, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. He suppressed it with all his strength and took deep breaths several times before he felt a little better. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2324. Chapter 2324. You cook for me. Get in the car. Before he completely lost his mind, he said this and got into the car with a calm face. Gu Sheng stood outside the car for a few seconds, but in the end she didn't dare to really anger him, so she turned around and followed him into the car. Bai Yisheng is a madman now. She fully believed that her brother's job would really be lost if she didn't do what he said. Gu Sheng also has an older brother, Dear, who serves as a senior executive in a certain department in the Mo family. In the past, she might not have taken threats like Bai Yisheng seriously. Because she felt that it was impossible for President Mo to fire the top executives of his company just because of Bai Yisheng's words. But now, she has heard that President Mo has a fiancée named Xiao Mian. And Xiao Mian is actually the daughter that the Bai family has been looking for more than 10 years. Mo Yesi is very fond of Xiao Mian, so if Bai Yisheng really lets his sister blow the pillow, her brother may really lose his job. Asterisk. After getting in the car, Bai Yisheng didn't say a word to her again. Gu Sheng asked him several times where he wanted to take her, but Bai Yisheng didn't say anything. It wasn't until Bai Yisheng drove the car into a high-end apartment that he stopped the car. After getting off the car, Gu Sheng followed him and stood in the underground parking lot, looking around. When Bai Yusheng parked the car and walked towards her, she couldn't help but asked again, Bai Yusheng, where is this place? Why did you bring me here? Bai Yusheng turned his head and glanced at her, and finally spoke, this is where I usually live. What? Gu Sheng's eyes widened, as if he was frightened, and his face turned pale. Is this where you live? Then why did you bring me here? I'm hungry. Bai Yusheng answered the question inappropriately. After finishing speaking, he walked straight forward. Gu Sheng failed to keep up with his thoughts and was stunned. She stood there looking at his back and said angrily, what does it have to do with you being hungry? Bai Yusheng, you haven't answered my question yet. What am I doing here? Bai Yusheng paused and turned around. His dark brown eyes were like glass beads, her figure reflected in them. His thin lips curled up, you cook for me. Gu Sheng opened his eyes wide again. She simply couldn't understand, you brought me here just to let me cook for you. Of course not. He just didn't want her to stay with that nerd. As for bringing her to his apartment, it was also a temporary decision. He will definitely not be able to return to Baizai with Gu Sheng. Mother Bai was looking forward to him getting married and having children, and she was almost going crazy with her anticipation. If he dares to take Gu Sheng home, Bai Mu will marry him to Gu Sheng right away. After much deliberation, he brought Gu Sheng to this place. This is his own apartment. He usually lives alone, and the nanny comes to clean it regularly every day. That is to say, except for himself, he has brought no one else here. Well, there are some other things I want to talk to you about. I'll talk to you when I'm full. Bai Yusheng nodded. Gu Sheng. She felt that Bai Yusheng was really crazy. She felt more like she was being played. She turned around and left. Bai Yusheng didn't stop him. He stood behind her, folded his arms and said slowly, aren't you afraid that Gu Lin will lose his job? I heard that because your brother has performed well recently, the higher UPS are planning to hire him. Promote him. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2325. Chapter 2325. What else do you want to do? As expected, he will be promoted at the end of this month. Gu Sheng. Asshole. She gritted her teeth and said, President Mo is not the kind of person who would just fire his employees because of someone else's words. Well, it's indeed not the case. Bai Yusheng said in an awkward tone, of course my words are not that effective. However, if my sister goes to tell him, he will definitely agree. My brother-in-law is also a principled person, but in front of my sister, he has no principles. So as long as my sister opens her mouth, there is nothing he cannot agree to. He can even give up his relationship with the Gong family, let alone a mere executive in the company. Gu Sheng, if your brother loses his job because of you, will you feel guilty? Bai Yusheng, you. Gu Sheng was so angry that he pointed at him and cursed angrily, how can you be so despicable? The dignified eldest son of the Bai family, are you embarrassed to threaten others with such despicable means? Bai Yusheng twitched her lips, what are you embarrassed about? If you think I'm despicable, then just be despicable. Anyway, I've never been a gentleman. Gu Sheng, this isn't the first day you've known me, is it? Of course Gu Sheng knew that Bai Yusheng was not a gentleman. She knew it when he was still her teacher. The former Bai Yusheng has never been so shameless. Has never threatened her with anyone or anything. This is nothing like him. Gu Sheng couldn't help but wonder, what happened to Bai Yusheng during the years she went abroad? Why is he like this? He has become someone she can't understand at all, and even feels a bit strange. Let's go. Don't act like you're afraid that I'm going to eat you. I'm just asking you to cook me a meal. It's a teacher-student match. Asking you to cook a meal for your own teacher isn't too much of a request, right? Gu Sheng. She stared at Bai Yusheng with burning eyes. It is of course nothing for a student to cook a meal for his teacher. But which teacher would be like him and threaten to force his students? And if you really think about it, he only taught her for one semester. And it's also an elective course taught. His role as a teacher is barely adequate, but there is still a certain gap between him and a real teacher. Is it really just a matter of helping you cook a meal? Gu Sheng still stood there, looking at him with a defensive look in her eyes. She didn't quite believe that Bai Yusheng had brought her here forcibly just to let her cook a meal. This reason is too inexplicable. He, the eldest young master of the Bai family, needs someone to cook for him. But Gu Sheng couldn't guess any other reason. She is not worried about Bai Yusheng having any evil intentions towards her or doing anything to her. Thinking back then, Bai Yusheng was drunk that night. Faced with her initiative, he still had some sense to push her away decisively. At that time, she took the initiative to throw herself into his arms, but he rejected her. How can I have any thoughts about her now? What if? Bai Yusheng raised his eyebrows. What else do you want to do? What he said was a bit ambiguous. Gu Sheng's face felt hot, and she was immediately embarrassed and annoyed. Bai Yusheng. I'm hungry. Bai Yusheng frowned, with a hint of impatience on his face. I'm just making a meal, you make me full. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2326. Chapter 2326. Don't answer his phone calls. I will let you go. I don't have the habit of staying with women here. Even if you want to stay for one night, I'm afraid it won't work. Gu Sheng. Her face was getting hotter and hotter. I always find Bai Yusheng's sentence "I'll let you go when you let me eat enough" very ambiguous. Although she also knew that she must be overthinking. Who wants to stay at your place? She blushed with anger, and finally walked towards him. Okay, I'll cook you a meal, and I'll leave after I'm done. Watching her walking towards him, Bai Yusheng finally had a smile on his face. Gu Sheng was originally a well-behaved and clever girl. She is the most well-behaved when she is obedient like this. I still remember that when she was his student, she kept calling teacher Bai, not to mention how well-behaved she looked. Why are you becoming so arrogant now? Like a little wild cat that looks very soft and cute, but will extend its sharp claws to people. Perhaps he didn't know her well enough. Perhaps this is what Gu Sheng really looks like. As soon as Gu Sheng walked to Bai Yusheng, her cell phone rang. She picked it up and looked at it, and saw that it was Qin Mo calling. There are also a few missed calls. The other missed calls were from her friends when she was in the dark elevator. Bai Yusheng kept dragging her, and she couldn't make a phone call. Now that she was free, she was about to answer Qin Mo's call, when suddenly a hand came over and snatched her phone away. Gu Sheng was stunned for a moment, turned around and saw that Bai Yusheng had taken away the phone. She said angrily, "Bai Yusheng, what are you doing? Give me your phone back." Bai Yusheng saw just now that the call was from Qin Mo. His mood suddenly became very bad. This one is really haunting. He hung up the phone immediately, turned his head, and said in a sinister voice, "Don't answer his call." "Bai Yusheng, you are unreasonable," Gu Sheng said angrily. "I can answer the call of anyone I want. Why don't you allow it? Please return the phone to me. Brother Qin must be worried about me before he calls. I have to tell him that he is safe." "That's right, I'm just being unreasonable." Bai Yusheng put the phone directly into the pocket of his coat. It seemed that he didn't intend to return it to Gu Sheng. "I'll keep your phone here for now, waiting for you to leave. When the time comes, I'll give it to you again." "Why do you want to ask me?" Bai Yusheng cut off her words and sneered, just because you have to listen to me now, otherwise, your brother. He did not finish his sentence. What it means, Gu Sheng must know. Gu Sheng really never thought that Bai Yusheng would become so shameless and despicable now. Moreover, he is still very thick-skinned now. Even when she scolded him, he looked indifferent. Gu Sheng was so angry that she almost vomited blood. She took a deep breath and suppressed the urge to rush over and fight with him. She thought about it and talked to him in a different way. Bai Yusheng, you won't let me pick up Brother Qin call? Okay, I won't answer it. I'll send him a WeChat message to tell him I'm safe, is that okay? I'll give you my phone after I finish sending the message, okay? She softened her tone, as if begging him. She actually knows a bit about Bai Yusheng. This man is a typical person who takes soft things rather than hard things. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2327. Chapter 2327, Don't push yourself too far. Gu Sheng was furious with him before, so she didn't want to give in front of him. Now if you ask him for something, there is nothing you can do. This trick is indeed useful. Bai Yusheng lowered his head and glanced at her, just sending a message to report that it's safe. Well, I'm just sending a message to ensure safety. Gu Sheng nodded. Bai Yusheng looked at her for another 2 seconds, then I'll send it. Gu Sheng. Why, what's the difference between my hair and yours? Bai Yusheng raised an eyebrow. Don't you want to report that you're safe? Aren't the hairs the same for everyone? Gu Sheng. Bai Yusheng said nothing more, took out her mobile phone and opened WeChat. He quickly found Qin Mo's WeChat account. Because Gu Sheng made a note for Qin Mo, the name of the note was Qin Mo. This remark made Bai Yusheng feel a little more comfortable. Because he saw that Gu Sheng's notes to others also had the names of the notes. This shows that Qin Mo has nothing special about her. This realization made him feel comfortable all over. He clicked on the dialog box with Qin Mo and sent a WeChat message, I'm fine, don't call again. Qin Mo replied instantly, Sheng Sheng, where are you now? Bai Yusheng, didn't do anything to you, right? If anything happens, just tell me. You don't have to be afraid of him. Snort. Looking at Qin Mo's reply, Bai Yusheng let out a cold snort in his nose, moved his fingers, edited a WeChat message and sent it, he is very good to me. I have known him for almost 6 years, and our relationship is closer than you think. Well, don't worry. That's it, my phone is about to run out of battery. After Bai Yusheng sent this WeChat message, he deleted the dialog box and turned off his phone directly. What did you post? Gu Sheng frowned and leaned over to take a look. Bai Yusheng put the phone back into his pocket. I told him you were safe with me, so he didn't have to worry. Gu Sheng didn't quite believe him and stretched out his hand, show me. Gu Sheng, don't push yourself too far. Bai Yusheng looked down at her, I've reported you're safe as you asked. From now on, the phone will be with me. If you push the envelope further, the phone won't be returned to you. Gu Sheng wanted to swear at this moment. What does it mean not to push beyond your limits? That mobile phone was originally hers. She wanted to get back her own things, so why did she go so far? Asterisk. Sister Mian, I'll give you a toast. In the private room, Lin Wanwan was holding a glass of wine, with a bit of shyness on her face, standing in front of Jiao Mian to toast her. She pursed her lips and said softly, I'm glad to meet Sister Mian. My name is Lin Wanwan and I am 16 years old this year. My second cousin's mother and my mother are biological sisters. We have a very good relationship. My second cousin and I also have a close relationship. Very good, I will go to my second cousin's house to play with him every holiday. My second cousin told me before that. Yesi. Lin Wanwan was just about to say Brother Yesi when she felt a cold and piercing gaze fall on her. She was stunned and immediately changed her words, speaking of Mo, my husband is married, and he said that Mr. Mo's wife is very beautiful, so I have always wanted to meet Sister Mian Mian, and today I finally have this opportunity. Sister Mian Mian, can Wan Wan be friends with you? Lin Wan Wan blinked her eyes, looking innocent. Chiao Mian Mian looked at the glass of wine in front of her and was stunned for a moment. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2328. Chapter 2328. Only in front of Chiao Mian Mian will his gentle side show up. She was drinking the yogurt that the waiter had just brought over. It was strawberry flavored and very delicious. Suddenly Lin Wanwan came over to toast her. And he said a lot of words. The 16-year-old girl was very cute and kept saying that she always wanted to know her and be friends with her. Chiao Mian Mian felt that it would be difficult for her to refuse when people came to offer toasts. She looked at the wine glass placed in front of Mo Yesi's table and there was still some red wine in it. Just as she was about to pick it up, the back of her hand was held down by someone. She blinked, raised her head, and met a pair of dark eyes as deep and charming as the night. Didn't I tell you not to drink? The handsome and dazzling man held her hand and reached out to take the wine glass aside. Chiao Mian Mian was stunned, but when someone toasted me, You can't stop drinking it. If she doesn't drink, it will make people think that she doesn't want to give face. That's not okay. Mo Yesi was very domineering and said in a non-negotiable tone, I told you not to drink, so you can't touch even a drop. Chiao Mian Mian. Mo Yesi was domineering 1 second, and then reached out and touched her head the next, coaxing in a gentle tone, didn't I order a few bottles of yogurt for you? Drink your yogurt. If you want to drink, I will drink with you when you go home. No drinking allowed outside. At least when she is drunk at home, only he can see her seductive side when she is drunk. But Chiao Mian Mian raised her eyes and glanced at Lin Wanwan, who was still holding up the wine glass, but her face looked a little unattractive. Mo Yesi also raised his head following her gaze. He was not as embarrassed as Chiao Mian Mian, so he said directly in a cold tone, she doesn't drink. If you want to toast, you can go and toast others. The moment Lin Wanwan's eyes met his, her face was still hot and she felt a little shy. But Mo Yesi's words suddenly made the expression on her face become embarrassing. She squeezed the wine glass tightly, her eyes quickly becoming mist-filled, and she looked at this man who was extremely handsome but also extremely indifferent to her with aggrieved eyes. It was clear that just a moment ago, when he was talking to the woman in his arms, his eyes were so caring and gentle. But the next second, when facing her, his eyes were cold and indifferent. Second brother Yan Shaoqing was watching from the side, seeing his little cousin's eyes sparkling with tears, but he came out and said a word to help his little cousin, don't be so fierce, you even scared Wan. It's tactful. With that said, she waved to Lin Wanwan again, Wanwan, come to your second cousin. Your sister-in-law really doesn't drink outside. Come over and have a drink with me, second cousin. Lin Wanwan stood motionless, her eyes aggrieved. As soon as she blinked, tears fell out. Yan Shaoqing frowned, Wanwan, you are really crying. My second brother's temper is like this, and he treats everyone like this, so don't cry. When Mo Yesi first got together with Chiao Mian Mian, Yan Shaoqing thought his problem was cured. But it was later discovered that Mo Yesi's illness was not cured at all. Because except for Chiao Mian Mian, his attitude towards other women is no different from before. He only shows his gentle side in front of Chiao Mian Mian. In front of other women, he is still the cold, arrogant, stoic freak who seems not to be interested in women at all. In fact, Mo Yesi has always been so indifferent to women. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2329. Chapter 2329. This charming man is also very dangerous. It's just that his little cousin has been pampered by her family since she was a child, and has many admirers at school. The little princess who has always been popular has repeatedly encountered iron nails here in Moyesi, and she will definitely not be able to accept it. Xiao Mian felt a little sorry when she saw that Lin Wanwan was scared to tears by Moyesi. She stretched out her hand and pulled down Moyesi's sleeve, and glared at him angrily. Why are you so mean to a little girl? I don't want to drink, I can drink other things. Moyesi's iceberg face seemed to melt all of a sudden when he faced Xiao Mian, and he had a gentle and doting look on his face. Why am I so fierce? I usually talk like this, and you are not the first, God knows. Xiao Mian. Of course she didn't know it for the first time. She also knew that Moyesi was so indifferent to everyone else except her. Just seeing Lin Wanwan being frightened to tears by him, she still felt that he was too indifferent to others. Indifferent to the point of being inhumane. After all, Lin Wanwan is still a little girl. Xiao Mian is relatively tolerant of little girls like Lin Wanwan. 16-year-old girl. Still very simple. At this moment, Xiao Mian would not have thought that the little girl she thought was innocent would go crazy with jealousy and do crazy things later. Mr. Mo, I have no other intentions. Lin Wanwan sobbed with tears in her eyes. I just want to toast Sister Mian a glass of wine and be friends with Sister Mian. I don't know, Mian's sister can't drink outside. This is just a little red wine. Even a poor drinker will not get drunk after drinking just a little. Her grievances were revealed in her words. Another meaning of her words was that she had never wanted to get Xiao Mian drunk, she just wanted to have a little drink with her and get to know her. But Moyesi's reaction made it seem like she wanted to get Xiao Mian drunk on purpose. He had wronged her. Mr. Mo, you are too nervous about Sister Mian. Has Sister Mian really never touched any alcohol since she was a child? If you do this, it will be bad for her. She has never touched alcohol, won't she? A little bit of wine will make you drunk. As soon as Lin Wanwan finished speaking, she felt that cold gaze that made her tremble fell on her again. The man's gaze was even colder and piercing than before. She raised her eyes and took a look, and was so cold that she trembled all over. It felt like cold air had penetrated into her bones. Her body was cold from the inside out. No. At the same time, Lin Wanwan shut her mouth tightly, too frightened to say a word. It is true that the man in front of me is charming. She had never seen a more perfect man. The boys who were recognized as the best around her were so inferior to him that they were not worth mentioning. But this charming man is also very dangerous. Lin Wanwan's feelings for Moyesi were very complicated at this time. She loved him but was also afraid of him. She felt that the man in front of her was like a poppy exuding fatal temptation. She knew that he was dangerous and could not be approached easily, but she was deeply attracted to him. Even if she was scared, she still couldn't help but think. To be close to him, to have him. I told you, she doesn't drink outside. As a student, you are not suitable to be friends with her. There is a generation gap between you. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2330. Chapter 2330. It's like she is transparent. After Moyesi finished speaking, he turned his head and looked at Yan Xiaoqing with a hint of threat and dissatisfaction in his eyes. Yan Xiao'er, why don't you call your cousin over? If you bring some children over for occasions like this in the future, there's no need to call me out. Moyesi is actually not that unkind person. If Lin Wanwan was just a normal junior, although his attitude towards her could not be said to be very good, it would not be as cold as it is now. The reason why he has this attitude toward Lin Wanwan now is because he is very keenly aware of Lin Wanwan's little thoughts. He has seen many women's adoring looks. This little 16-year-old admirer did not make him feel that he was infinitely charming. He just thought it was a trouble. Having many admirers, or for other men, is a sign of their charm, which will greatly satisfy their vanity and self-confidence. But for Mo Yesi, in addition to trouble, it is still trouble. For him, a woman's admiration has nothing but trouble. Especially, he now has Chiao Mian Mian. He doesn't want his little wife to be dissatisfied with him because of these things. Although it seems that Chiao Mian Mian has never been jealous of other women or lost his temper with him. But Mo Yesi still upheld the consciousness that a married man should have, and before the rotten peach blossoms around him had fully bloomed, he uprooted them mercilessly. Never give these rotten peach blossoms any chance to grow. The expression on Lin Wanwan's face became embarrassing once again. She bit her lip, tears falling like broken beads one by one on her pale face. She has never met a man who was so indifferent to her. Since childhood, she has been surrounded by admirers, and there are too many people of the opposite who like her to count. Those boys were so courteous to her in order to please her, and they were so enthusiastic in front of her. Even if they were rejected by her indifferently, they still refused to give up, and even became more and more courageous in their frustrations. Especially now. The 16-year-old girl has grown up, has a graceful figure, a bright and charming face, and has a noble background. It is no surprise that she has become the most perfect and unattainable goddess in the hearts of all the boys in the school. The love letters she receives every day can fill a trash can. Girls who grew up in such an environment have never encountered any setbacks in their relationship with the opposite sex. The first setback in her life was caused by Mo Yesi. Those little boys liked her so much that they would treat her casual words as if they were edicts. But in front of Mo Yesi, even if she cried until her eyes were red and swollen, and no matter how pitiful and lovable she was, the man's eyes were still cold and distant, and he didn't even look at her. It's like, she is transparent. It was the first time in her life that Lin Wanwan suffered such a blow. She was a little doubtful about life. She felt that her little girl's pride and self-esteem had been trampled under her feet. Mr. Mo, since you don't like Wanwan staying here, then Wanwan will disappear immediately. Wanwan will leave immediately and won't stay to hinder Mr. Mo's eyes. Lin Wanwan looked heartbroken and covered her hands. Mouth, turned around and ran out of the box. Yan Shaoqing was stunned and his eyes widened. Only then did he realize that something seemed not quite right. Wanwan. Xiao, who was following Lin Wanwan, stood up and ran out to chase Lin Wanwan. End of this chapter.